Like, so you kind of became, you've shot to fame basically straight after it. The whole world saw who Taron was, which is crazy. How's fame treating you?
It's very, very manageable. Occasionally people will ask for a photo or come up and say, I love Kingsman, or occasionally it might be Eddie the Eagle. But it's very manageable. I don't get chased by a paparazzi and I don't get mobbed by fans. The really joyous thing about Kingsman is it gave birth to a lot of other work opportunities, and that's incredibly exciting because all you want as an actor is, to work and have regular gigs. And I'm absolutely loving it. I feel very fortunate indeed.
You've got quite a keen online fan base of people dedicated to you.
Right. That stuff I try and. In fact, it was you who said that to me, and it's you said to me that you once read something that meant that you never read something ever again. Because typically, the internet's such a hive mind. There's always going to be negative things. So if you go trawling through it, looking for validation and affirmation, you're only going to stumble and find something horrid. So I try and steer clear of all that stuff because it's not good for your mental health.
Fair enough. Mark, you've kind of played the long game here. Your name's, pretty massive now.
But I didn't shoot to fame.
No, that's why,
unlike my colleague here. But, it's interesting, isn't it, I think we've probably had literally opposite journeys, because you came out of drama school, went straight into kind of massive movie parts, acquitted yourself well in all of them, and it's great. I kind of did theatre for 10 years and then a bit of television, and I was always in it for the long game, I think, because I remember a mentor very early on saying, if you want 40 years in this business, there's no hurry. But the truth is, you just deal with whatever is thrown at you. And it always interests me, actors who say, well, and then I did this, and then my plan was to do this, and then I planned to... it's bullshit, to excuse my French, but basically, you just deal with what comes at you in the way that it does, and you have to sink or swim.
Yeah, it's funny that you just said, your mentor said play the long game, which is obviously not what they've told Taron. So how are you going to play the long game?
Well, I think by definition of what Mark is saying is that life presents you with opportunities and you act accordingly. And I was presented with an opportunity by Matthew Vaughan 4 or 5 years ago, for the first film, and I felt very instinctively that I could do a good job of playing it, and I really wanted to play it. And everything else has been a kind of domino effect. I would have been very happy spending, I did my drama school training much in the same way that Mark did and started working in theatre, and I guess I just had this golden ticket moment and I ran with it.
Didn't it come straight? Didn't you leave and then
go
into
No, it was a year. I went to the National
Theatre
Theatre and then the Royal Court, and I did a little bit of telly.
Oh, right.
And then it was about 12 months after that I first met Matthew, 12 months after leaving RADA.
The RADA.
The RADA, darling.
Yeah.
And in this film, you two, you share the majority of scenes kind of together. You're the main focus. Like, how did you two kind of bond and kind of find that friendship?
Well, I guess I feel that whenever, I'm speaking as the less experienced actor, but you sort of chat. I remember when we came back to this movie, I came over to your trailer and we caught up about things and sat and had a cup of tea, didn't we? And it's just about kind of achieving a level of comfortability with one another where you can sit and not kind of feel like you're clammed up or feeling self-conscious about anything, and that's how you get that feeling of warmth between two actors, I think.
I use the expression, the dance. When you've worked with somebody, whether it's a director or actor, the dance. You don't have to relearn the steps of how to negotiate that person or how to work with that person. You just know it flows. And we were just talking about the fact that the first scene that we shot in the whole shoot was over the destroyed remnants of the old Kingsman shop. That night shoot where I turn up with he's got the orange jacket on, I turn up with the arm.
Yeah.
That was the first of the whole thing. And it was a night shoot, and I'd come from Toronto, I think the day before. I don't know where you'd come from. Next minute, we're standing at either ends of this huge and we're playing a scene together.
Yeah.
And it just went like that.
It was fun. It was cold and wet, but it was felt like there was a lovely feeling of familiarity to it. I guess in the first film, because we don't have it's a very different dynamic. It's actually quite, we kind of stand off a little bit in the first film, don't we? And I have that kind of problem with authority thing, and you have a kind of mentor thing. Whereas in this movie, I suppose we're on a more even keel because we're both, I'm a fully fledged Kingsman. And I don't know, I guess it just felt like, it was familiar, wasn't it?
It was
all fell
easy.
into place.
It was easy.
Yeah, it's cool.